And we're going. Hello, Jana.
Ew,
Are lead magnets dead?
I don't know.
That's what we're
Let's
talking
talk
about.
about it. Let's talk about it.
Oh my goodness. This has been a topic of hot conversation for what feels like years. A lot of
Oh,
people want to chit chat about lead magnets being dead to sell their programs.
yeah, that's part of it for sure.
Um, but we don't really necessarily agree with all the reasons that people say lead magnets are dead, which is why we're doing this conversation.
Yeah,
Um, just like a spoiler alert, because we want you to stick around, I do not believe lead magnets are dead, and we're going to tell you why we think that they're not.
yeah,
So please stick around, listen to us, um,
yeah,
harp on this topic and why you still can use them in your
yeah.
business.
Yes, I think what we should do is we should talk about what a lead magnet is, just in case we have some people who are joining who are new, just really quick, right?
Yep.
And then let's talk about a few reasons why people might be hearing or why people are saying lead magnets are dead. Some of those reasons are, in my mind, legitimate in terms of like, okay, I can kind of see their point, and maybe it's worth considering in your business.
Yep.
And then there's some other reasons why people are saying lead magnets are dead that, you need to be aware of to like filter out because, those reasons are not good reasons to believe people. So we're going to talk about those. And then I think we should also talk about what works in terms of lead magnets in your business, Heather, and what works in terms of lead magnets in my business,
Yep.
to give people not only some examples of how they work, but also a little bit of insight into what's working now versus, what used to work or, just the kind of like the nuances that and help people understand with some examples basically. And maybe if we
Yep.
have an opportunity, we'll try to weave in some examples from like students and clients too. So that's what
Yeah.
people can expect from watching today, I think.
So do you want to start off with what a lead magnet is?
Yeah. Do you want to take a stab at that or do you want me to?
You want me to do it?
Sure.
Okay, so a lead magnet is really simple. It is a way to get people on your email list. It's usually something that you give them for free that is valuable in exchange for that email address. It's like payment for service, except it's free, and the payment is their email address. Most people use these as
Yeah.
the top funnel. And
Sorry,
not
I
even,
said, yeah, I agreed with you and I drowned out that last thing you said that's important, the top of funnel part.
yeah, most people use them as the top of a funnel, but it's not even like the tippy top of the funnel, in my own opinion. Normally the top of my funnels are my free content that leads to the lead magnet that then leads down the funnel into conversions.
Yeah.
So lead magnets can be anything from, and we've talked about this before, we talked about creating lead magnets here on a YouTube Live, and I have a video. We can also link both of them in the description later. They can be anything from guides to webinars to tools that you create and give away, and
Templates.
anything and everything in between.
Yep. Yeah. Anything of value that you give away. Um, and it's interesting. I heard one time that, and I think this has probably changed over the years, but it used to be that when people they did like a survey of online business people and non-business people and asked what they asked like what value they would be willing to give their email address away for. And it used to be, maybe when this research was done like 8 or 9 years ago, that it was $10. People were not willing to give their email for something that they didn't perceive was valued at more than $10 or more.
Interesting.
Inflation has happened, online businesses has matured. So it's probably, maybe more around 20 or $25 now. So if you're thinking about, what that should be, you don't
Hmm.
want to give an entire, masterclass. Well, a masterclass actually is a bad example. You don't want to give an entire course away necessarily for free because that can be perceived as odd in terms of that quid pro quo.
Yep.
But you want to give something away that is of enough value that people want it. So, and that they're willing to exchange their email because that feels, you know, there's people are a little protective, of their
Feel
email.
that feels
So
safe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think that's a great definition. And I know once in my micro audio summit, you talked about the idea that your lead magnet, you think of your lead magnet as like the front porch. Like when
Mhm.
people first meet you, they might not be like, yeah, come on over for dinner, but they might be like, oh, I'm willing to like have you on my front porch for a lemonade. I remember you described it that way, and I was like, that's so good. So it's kind of like that little introduction, that like taster as well to the way that you do business and like your the way you present content and stuff. So that also like kind of serves as that to help people just like get to know you a little bit too, as any of our content does, right?
Yeah,
So,
it provides a nice little bridge, a little get to know you. I think the people that are saying stuff like lead magnets are dead are the ones that are creating really low value, thin lead magnets and expecting those to sell high ticket. Not going to work.
yeah. Yeah.
It's never worked.
Yeah,
It's not.
let's talk about that. I think to me it feels like there's kind of like three different kind of categories of reasons why people are saying lead magnets are dead. We're never going to do lead mags again. They're just attracting freebie seekers to our lists, and
Yeah.
freebie seekers won't buy, and like, no one values anything if it's free and all that kind of stuff, right? Those are like the things people are saying. And I think I see like there's like three reasons. The first category of reasons, let's just kind of get this out of the way, is the legit reasons. Like I think that it is true to some degree for some people in some people's businesses, not in mine, not in yours, not in most people I know, but there are some people who are wanting, because they're more mature in business, right? This isn't someone who's brand new to business and needs to start their email list and grow their email list. This
Yep.
isn't even someone who, is still working on like scaling, not scaling, but growing, I should say, and getting the basics in place. This is someone who has been in business a while, has it all dialed in, right? And
Mhm.
now their goal is with their email list isn't just to get a lot of people on their email list who then will be like self-select as they get the emails about whether or not they want to stay. Their goal is to get more people on the list who are going to stay, but if that's fewer people, that's okay with them. Um, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like people who are beginning, just starting to build their email list might also be thinking, well, I would like people who, are more targeted and want to stay and whatnot. And I get that. But in the beginning, we don't always know who those people are. Our messaging isn't necessarily crystal clear enough for us to be like putting up a roadblock and saying you can only get on my list if you pay me $25 or you pay me,
Mhm.
a certain amount or whatever. So I'll give you guys a quick example. There's a woman who I really admire, Letitia, who recently has been talking about um, changing things up. And the way she articulated it for her business is exactly what I just said. She has been in business for a long time, like as long as you and I have, 8 or 9 years. And she's at the point where she doesn't want to do lead magnets anymore, only for her own business. It's not that she doesn't necessarily say no one should do them, but because she wants people to get on her list, not because they want the free thing, but just because they want to hear from her. And I
Yeah.
get that. Like I get that. And when we talk about how we do it, you and I, in a little while, I'll talk about how I do it because I'm kind of doing both at this point. So there are some legitimate, reasons out there, but I think that those people who are saying it because of that reason are few and far between.
Mhm.
And most people who are jumping on the lead magnets are dead bandwagon are in like the other two categories. You mentioned one of them, which is like the idea that sometimes people have a lead magnet and they don't know how to sell to the people who got on their list with the lead magnet. And so they've decided to blame the people and say, oh, they're just freebie seekers. They
Mhm.
never bought anything from me. But I guarantee you, 95% of the time, when that happens, it's not because the people were freebie seekers, maybe even 99.9% of the time. It's because something was out of whack or misaligned. And, you got people on your email list with a lead magnet, but then did you really create the content that pre-sells them on your offer to send to them? Right? Was that content really the right content that the things they needed to, hear and learn and understand more deeply to be ready to buy? And did you send enough emails, about sales as well? Like, did you sell enough? Did you create nurturing content enough, pre-selling content, and share it with them enough? Was it the right content? Did you share it enough? And did you sell to them enough? Usually the answer is no. And so that's really where most people need to be working, not saying lead magnets are dead. I'm going to go try something else because that didn't work for me, but rather getting better at selling to the people who got on your list with the lead magnet?
Because a
Sorry, I
lead magnet
had to say it.
it's just a vehicle to get people into your world so you can talk to them more. But if you never sell to them or even nurture them, then why would they want to buy from you? You've given them nothing but a lead magnet that you probably created just to get them on your list. But then there's no intention between connecting the dots for them and actually providing value. A lead magnet, just to create a lead magnet, it's not going to work for anybody. And chances are you're going to have to go through multiple variations before you find out what's really going to convert for your business.
Totally.
I made a very intentional decision after testing one out to just go for the jugular in 2017 and create my strategy guide, so I was looking around all these other Pinterest managers or like Pinterest pros that had like courses. And I decided pretty early on that I didn't want to use a lead magnet to land clients. That's not something that I wanted to do. I wanted a lead magnet so I could sell digital products and grow an email list to build myself as an expert.
Right. And
So
some people listening might say, like, what's the difference between those two things? So let's talk about that in a minute. Continue. But
I'll
those
come
two
back
are
around.
different. I hear the difference. I know there's a nuanced difference between those two things.
Yeah. So when I was doing my market research, looking at other people's Pinterest lead magnets, I saw just a really wide open gap. And I have continued to fill that gap for years with the way that I do business and the way that I even run this YouTube channel. And that is simply just to teach people how Pinterest works for free. And they do come around. My audience is different than Jana's. Jana doesn't do business this way. In the last year and a half, you've shifted into doing content strategy and you're toying around with new lead magnets for that. But I've just always had the same lead magnet. After the one that failed, I created the strategy guide for Pinterest organic because I saw that gap. Other people were creating like profile checklists and like free templates but I saw people still saying, I don't understand how Pinterest works. So I was like, okay, well, if they don't understand how Pinterest works, I'm going to tell them.
Yep.
And I'm going to get them on my email list. And then I'm going to be able to communicate with those people because I told them and I provided enough value in my lead magnet that now they trust what I am talking about. Right. So we're building trust. We're building authority. And over the years, I have updated this every single year. I just updated it again this year and added a worksheet to it. And I'll do another update to the copy of the lead magnet probably in the summer. I usually wait till about mid-year for all the updates and things to shake out with the platform before I change anything major. But I've had the same one for years. And I think that's also like a trust factor for people. They can see that I have the same lead magnet. I'm not just throwing things in the wind. I've had the same steady
It's steadfast
offer and it's worked. And I just looked at my list. I have over 7,300 people on it. I scrub it every 60 days.
Yep. So it's very engaged.
But
We know
it's
it's an
very
engaged
healthy.
list.
Yeah.
Healthy. Yeah.
So back to the difference between the two things in the lead magnets, and then we'll move on. I made the decision, very conscious decision, to attract people who are earlier in their businesses that want to learn how to use Pinterest for their business, but they don't have the money to hire it out. That is the entire purpose of the YouTube channel, of my membership, of my blog.
And your lead magnet.
Yeah, and the lead magnet.
Yeah.
Is to attract people when they're earlier in their phases of business and they do not have the budget to hire it out. Now, that is not to say that people who are willing to hire me, because it is true that people have downloaded my lead magnet, watched my YouTube videos, read my blog, got on my email list to vet me, because they have. And I've had multi-seven-figure business owners hire me and corporations who've gone through that funnel because they just want to make sure that I'm legit. So it's not to say that you can't use a lead magnet, that'll never convert to higher paying clients, but I made that conscious decision to attract people earlier in their business journeys with my lead magnet so I can nurture them to the point where they are ready to hire.
Yep. Yeah.
And it has worked.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah. And I heard you say earlier that there's a difference with, how did you put it? There's a difference between a lead magnet Sorry, I'm having a hard time remembering exactly what you said because I was thinking about what you just said a second ago. Um, but basically, what I had wanted to kind of pull out of this too, and you kind of said this, you kind of alluded to it a few minutes ago, is that your lead magnet, if you think about it, can have two different jobs, if you will.
Mhm,
And sometimes it does both, and sometimes it only does one, and that's okay.
mhm,
The first job of a lead magnet, or the first like flow, if you will, is that somebody could download it and consume it and right away buy your thing. And
mhm.
that's why at the end of my lead magnets, if they're like a PDF or a webinar or whatever it is, and I know you do this too, and this is just like best practice in general, at the end, there's a call to action to buy the thing, right?
Yep.
And so sometimes that happens, and that's great. But sometimes the lead magnet, just someone downloads it, they consume it, or they don't consume it. So
Mhm.
either they don't consume it at all, which happens, or they consume it, but they don't buy, even though the call to action at the end says next step is to buy this thing. But
Yep.
now they're on your email list. And now you get an opportunity to have a conversation with them over time. And some of them will convert down the road if you have good content that reflects the things people need to learn, hear, and understand more deeply to be ready to buy.
Yep.
Um, and you send those messages to them, you know? So there's those two things. And I think part of what's going on sometimes with people who are like, my lead magnets only attracted freebie seekers and they never worked. Part of what's going on is that they're assuming that the definition of the lead magnet worked. Their definition is that someone downloaded it, consumed it, and bought like right away, you know?
Mhm.
And that's not always what happens. I know with your offers that does happen, and that's fantastic. And one of the reasons for that is that there's your offers are so accessible. But for a higher end offer, for example, whether it's a higher end course or not higher end, that's not the term, the more expensive, higher
More
ticket, like,
expensive.
you know, $1,000 or more, for example, if it's a course, if it's a group program, if it's a coaching one-on-one container, whatever, it's not going to happen as often that somebody downloads that lead magnet, consumes it, the lead magnet itself, and immediately hires you. It could happen, but it doesn't happen
Yeah.
that often. But that doesn't mean that it's not working to grow your list and bring you people who already are interested in the topic. And now you just need to continue to nurture them and sell to them in order to get them down that customer journey and have them buying.
Yep.
But all that to be said, you get a lot of sales, I know, directly from your lead magnet. You do have sales happen right away. Why do you think that is? I'm just curious. Like, what are some of the reasons?
I'll show you. It's right here in the lead magnet at the
Oh,
end.
yeah,
This
that's a
is
great
the final
example.
page, and it
Yep.
literally says, here are your next steps. And I can tell you right now, I need to update this because I just retired this in January.
Hmm.
But this is the final page of my lead magnet, and there's a link to purchase my academy right there.
Yep. And
I
so
mean,
what's the investment for the academy?
$37 is the low ticket, like the lowest. So it's
Right. For what?
37.97 or 370.
Yep.
And you get the
370 would
same
be the rate
for
for the year.
yearly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
97 quarterly and 37 monthly, and you get the same thing for each tier.
Yep.
So it's not like you have to choose an investment and get different things. Like you get the same thing when you join. So
Yep.
that is the final page in my lead magnet, and I have that final page on all my lead magnets. And I'm actually starting to go back and edit all of my Shopify digital paid products to include this as well, because I noticed I have two different final pages for Etsy and Shopify products, even though in the two storefronts I sell the same products.
Hmm.
And I've been noticing, and I only have like 27 or to 30 sales on Etsy, but I've noticed a higher conversion rate from the Etsy buyers, like more frequently when they purchase, they'll actually join the academy because my final
Hmm.
page of my Etsy products offers the membership, whereas I didn't do that for the Shopify store. And I don't really know why I made that decision.
Mm. Well, it's
So
good that you
now
did, so you were able to test it.
I'm actually going back and adding to all my paid products that are just small digital products, the academy as well. So even though people are like, oh, I only use a low ticket offer to get people on my email list, I only want buyers. Well, how are you then funneling those buyers to the higher paid programs or your other offers in your businesses? And in most cases, it's this weird Russell Brunson style funnel where it's like here and here's an offer and here's an offer and here's an like as you're buying the thing, there's like 12 offers, upsells and downsells and side sells and upside down sales. And I'm just like, get me out of this hellhole that I'm in. I just wanted that one thing. But at the end of the day, if you haven't thought strategically through how you actually connect people from A to Z, what,
It
how
doesn't
are
matter
you
if it
getting
was 0
there?
or 27
Right.
at that point. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So this is what I'm very strategically doing for all of my offers that are not directly the membership, is I'm putting the membership at the end.
hmm
And it's just this one page in Canva. I just have to add this one page. I'm going to download this one PDF and upload it as a second delivery product to all my Shopify orders. That way I don't actually have to redo any of the deliveries
Oh,
for
that's
Shopify.
smart.
I'm just adding a second PDF to the order, and they're going to be like, oh, what's this other thing? And open it up, and
Mm.
bam,
hmm
here's an offer for you.
Yeah. And next time you revise the actual products, would you add it in the actual body of
Yeah.
the product as well?
So,
Yeah. But for
yeah,
now, it's just a way to do it for now.
going forward, all new products will just have it on the end.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, yeah. So, and this is again, it's such an interesting example as I'm listening to you about how it's so important to remember that when you're hearing these broad generalizations like lead magnets are dead or you have to have a lead magnet or whatever the things are, thinking about your business and the type of business you have, right? Because a digital product business is quite different, than like a one-to-one coaching business, for example, or a done for you offer services
Well,
business or
and
people who do, yeah.
my business and your business now, like our two businesses looked very similar a few years ago in terms of the way that we were operating it. But now you have a higher ticket content program that is out of this world, by the way, everybody. Wink, wink. I'm not an affiliate. I just think it's out of this world. But now you have HLC, which is called high leverage content, for those wondering what that means. She's teaching people how to create really strategic content that lands clients. And you've been toying around with lead magnets for a while, trying to figure out like, how do I get people in? But then you're
Yeah.
just offering these amazing emails, and that's a lead magnet. Whereas
Yeah.
I sell and I want to get more people. I don't want more done for you clients.
hmm
If you're watching this and you're like, I was thinking about hiring Heather and she just said she doesn't want more clients, like I have a roster of VAs I can send you, because unless you're just like perfect fit and I'm just like squealing in joy over your business, I'm
hmm
just not in a headspace right now where I want to take more of those on. So I do want to push more of my low ticket offers and my email list, which is why you see me consistently running Facebook ads to grow my list.
hmm
Anyways, off
Yeah,
my
that makes
soapbox.
sense. And when you run Facebook ads, just as a separate aside, you're
Mhm.
running the ads not to buy, to get a lead magnet, correct?
A lead magnet. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just looking to grow my email list. And I have my
Yeah.
targeting so refined and I have my budget so low. Like I spend $300 a month on advertising.
hmm
And I grow my list by 600 to 700 people a month, and I scrub it every 2 months. I'm not
hmm
afraid to spend money to make money at this point in my life.
Right, right.
And I know it works because every single day I have 2 to 3 people joining the membership. And as the membership grows, I've got fewer people churning out
hmm
because we're refining those systems and the content we're putting in and the support we're providing. And that's the goal for me to
Yep.
peel myself out of client work and push myself into teaching and coaching.
Yep.
And over time, the front end offers on the business, like the lead magnets, need to support that
Yeah.
effort. So, what Jana said, when you need to identify and look at your own business and make a decision, a lead magnet's not going to work for everybody. But a paid product as the front end offer is also not going to work for everybody, especially if you can't sell a lead magnet. If you can't give something away for free to people, how are you going to get them to get their credit card out?
hmm
So you really do have to make a judgment call based on your audience, what their
hmm
buying needs are. Hopefully you've done some homework on your messaging and what that needs to be, their pain points and what they're struggling with, and how you're going to connect that via free content you create via your lead
hmm
magnet and then your email list.
Yeah. Yeah. So we covered the first two like categories of
Mhm.
the three, I think, sort of like reasons why people are yelling, lead magnets are dead, lead magnets are dead right now in various places on social media. And just in general in the world. The first one was that occasionally there's a good strategic reason why people are eliminating lead magnets from their business, like my friend Letitia. It makes sense for her business to do it that way. The second reason, the second kind of category of reasons is people are like, lead magnets are dead because they only attract freebie seekers. But a lot of times the reason why people think that is because they haven't figured out how to successfully sell to the people who are on their list from the lead magnet. They haven't figured out how to create content that actually pre-sells them, and they haven't figured out how to create content that sells them, and gets, gets people over that, into their actual offers. So they're like decided that, it's not their fault, it's the people's fault, and they're freebie seekers. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry, but if that's you, like you just need to work on, like, you need to take responsibility and work on it and stop saying that lead magnets are
Well,
dead.
and honestly, if you just want to get right down to the meat and potatoes, why do you feel like you deserve to have every single person that comes through your business pay you money? We were talking about this in a
Yeah,
private
there's a
recently,
sense of
and
entitlement, I think, among a lot of new entrepreneurs, especially, but people who've been around for a while sometimes too.
this whole like know your worth thing, like, okay, honestly, like the way that my CPA set up my pay scale would probably shock a lot of people with what my base pay is.
Mm.
Um, so let's just not even get into that conversation, but like honestly, like we all go window shopping, don't we? We all go when we're, especially when we're on vacation, we pop in and out of stores, and you don't feel pressure to buy from every single store that you walk into. How many
Yep.
bookstores do I walk into just to smell books? Lots. Okay? But I can't tote books everywhere I go. I also love going in antique stores and looking around, but you don't see me buying every single, like I don't buy something every time I go into a store.
Right.
And the same is going to happen in your online business. Not everyone who comes into your world is ready or willing to buy when they first meet you. You
Right,
are
right.
going to have to do some work to prove your worth.
Right. And that work, for most of us, that work comes in the form of creating content, whether it's free content or gated content, meaning free content that anyone can access, or gated content that only people on your email list can access, but is free, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so the third reason, I want to get to the third reason. Is that okay? I don't mean to, okay.
No.
The third reason is something you mentioned a couple minutes ago, a little bit earlier too, which we won't dwell on too much because we don't want to be too negative, but there are definitely people out there who are kind of preying a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit too strong a word, but capitalizing might be the better word on the fact that there are a lot of people out there who got into online business and are frustrated because they created a lead magnet like they were told, but they never really figured out how to sell to that list that they're building. And so they've decided that lead magnets suck, they're dead, it's all freebie seekers. And those people who are yelling, lead magnets are dead from the top of the mountain, are selling a program or an offer or a digital product that teaches you what to do instead, right? So that could be, for example, instead you should have a product that is $5, or you should have a product that is $20, but never offer anything free again because it only attracts people who have no intention of opening their wallet.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't believe that. I never will. But there are people who are kind of capitalizing on that frustration that some people feel. So just be careful, I guess, is the message here, that you understand people's motivations when you hear them saying lead magnets are dead. Look and see what they offer and why they're saying it. So that's all we really need to say about that, unless there's anything you want to add, Heather. But that's kind of like the third reason why I'm hearing people saying lead magnets are dead.
Talk to me about the email philosophy that you have been employing for what, 6 or 8 months now? How long have you been sending just regular?
Yeah, so I think we're kind of segueing into like what works for our business, and we've already been kind of peppering things in. But I've been in business now for like 8 years, and I have lead magnets that are working really well for me, and I'm not going to stop offering them because people love them, they're helpful for people, and they get people on my list and they convert. A great example of that is my free Pinterest marketing masterclass. I was thinking about it while you were talking about strategy. I filled a gap too, because I hear all the time from people that like my free Pinterest marketing masterclass, which is a lead magnet and a webinar that sells my paid course at the end.
Uh-huh.
I hear all the time people say that free masterclass, the 5 secrets for using Pinterest to get clients, is it's more detailed and more valuable than some people's paid courses. Jerk. So am I
I've
allowed to
actually
say that
been
in a live?
told.
Am I allowed to cough that in a live?
I have been
And it,
told, and
yeah,
I will share the screenshot openly
yep,
by multiple people, that my free Pinterest SEO workshop is better than Jenna Kutcher's entire Pinterest course.
right. I think what happens is when you're not her, you know, and I like her. She's cool. I really do like her brand and stuff in some ways. There's some things about her that I don't agree with entirely, but um anyway, that's a whole nother topic for another day. But I think that if you're not her, then you have this opportunity, like for people at our level where we're established, but we're still not so big. And do we really desire to be? I'm not really sure we do, where we would be willing to make the trade-offs that she has to make. We
Yep.
really want our stuff to like wow people and be like super helpful and like, yeah. So anyway, that aside, my point is that I have lead magnets that work. They bring people on my list all
Mhm.
the time. A lot of them are running like on autopilot. That Pinterest masterclass gets a lot of new subscribers for me all the time. Um, and I also have a Pinterest checklist that people find through Pinterest and through SEO and
Mhm.
different ways like that that people download and snag, and I update every once in a while to make sure it's fresh. However, in the last 6 to 8 months or so, I have, no, it's been about a year actually that I've been doing this. Well, maybe about 9 months actually. I have jumped on the trend because it's a trend right now, and maybe it'll
Mhm.
become more, you know, more than a trend and be like the new wave. It kind of already is starting to be, I guess, where I also say, hey, do you like my content? Okay, I have an email list where I send exclusive emails that help you A, B, and C, right? And it's essentially that means create content that helps your audience on the customer journey and convert better.
Yeah.
That's not what it says, but it's essentially like that. And now I say, if you want to be on my emails and get my exclusive content, join here. And I have a landing page where people go, and all it says is Jenna's high leverage hits. Get these emails from me. It's a series that I send, and it helps you do this, this, and this. These three things that I know my audience wants.
Mhm.
And I've changed those bullets a few times, so because I'm still figuring out messaging and stuff, really, because it's like a newer offer. So that's why I'm not rattling it off. And people can join, and now they're on my email list. So I'm actually doing that. And if you had asked me 2 years ago if I would do that, I'd be like, no. I'm like, nobody wants your, you know, your newsletter, Karen. You know, like it was always like we always used to say, like people who were like, join my list. It was like nobody wants to just join your list. They want something. They want a lead magnet, a free resource to get to join your list. But these days, I actually do think that's, you know, that's effective. It's back in vogue and I'm doing it. And I am getting people on my list that way too. So I'm doing both at this juncture. That's the answer.
I am not prepared to show up in my emails every single day or however often people want to send emails exclusively. Most Tuesdays, I can barely get a newsletter out about my YouTube video in this season of business that I'm in because
Mhm.
I've been so busy. The first quarter is always so busy, then second quarter really dies off and slows down, and I get more consistent in second and third quarter, and then going into fourth, it's all over again. So
Mhm.
I just do what I can in my business, and I'm not prepared to do what you're
And there's
doing.
nothing wrong with that. Like, I probably
Right?
invest as much time in writing really good, valuable emails to my list as you do in your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I probably do. I really do because I write a lot of really high value emails. And people love me for that, just like people love you for your YouTube channel. It doesn't mean we don't all do all the things, right? So that's just what I'm doing.
I like you said, you write emails, create YouTube content, and I think that's what is doing the majority of that work for me. And I've put a
Mhm.
lot of time and years into growing this channel and the content found here and really refining the content to help it to convert better to paying customers,
Mhm.
either clients or students, one way or the other, just paying customers. And I think I've done a really good job with that. So when
Yeah.
people send me messages like cold pitches of like, oh, well, your YouTube channel is not converting, or, this isn't doing well, or like
Like,
you
you
could do
know
this better.
this
Like,
because
honestly, like I don't have more time. I have no more time. I
yeah,
actually want to spend less time in the business
all right.
and more time in my life. So no, thank you. Like I'll just continue doing what I'm doing because I know it works, but it's going to take you guys time to figure out what works for you. And you are going to need to
Mhm.
put in that time and effort of testing things, figuring out what lead magnets, like Jenna in our chat says, the upsell hellhole. And some people like to say that blogging is also dead. Jenna's going to have to figure out what works for her, because what works for her is not going to work maybe for Della, who's also in the chat. So
Mhm.
it's just like at the end of the day, you gotta, like Jana said earlier, you gotta be careful about who you're listening to and really figuring out what their motivations are, even if you do like them.
Mhm.
Even if you do like 80% of what they say and you don't like 20% of what they say, or you don't agree on everything, that's great. We're all human.
Yeah.
We shouldn't
Yeah.
agree on everything.
Mhm.
And I think we just have to figure out what works for us. And nobody has the perfect solution.
Mhm. Well, I
Nobody.
think, yeah, and I would reframe that a little bit like it's like nobody has the perfect solution for you. Like
Mhm.
nobody has the one thing that's going to work for every single person in every single business. That's
Yeah.
what I think it is. Um, and so part of our jobs as entrepreneurs, as marketers, is to, if we're looking around for things to try, we need to evaluate them based on what our values are and what we're trying to accomplish and what our business model is. And
Yeah.
I really like your point. Like you could really like somebody a lot, like their personality a lot. But if what they're teaching or what you're considering investing in learning for them is not aligned with your business, the way you want to do things, or it's not what would work for your business model, maybe they're teaching things that work for digital product sellers and you're
Mhm.
really looking to grow a client roster that you love or the opposite or whatnot. You just have to evaluate those things, like really carefully. So yeah.
Nishan says, and this is something that we were talking about earlier. He's gotten 1,300 subscribers in 3 months with a niche. I'm assuming because his handle is niche bloggers, with probably a niche blog. And he said they do work. I've gotten 1,300 subscribers in 3 months from a lead magnet. You should always
Yeah.
give users something that they can use right away. That is exactly what I do. So Jana's Pinterest with Purpose, that webinar, the 5 steps webinar to use Pinterest. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name right now.
Okay.
Um, Same with my strategy guide. I'm literally walking people through creating the foundations of their Pinterest strategy.
Hmm.
I've added that new worksheet in now. So when you do get that lead magnet, you also get a worksheet that goes along with it. And this is something that I've had multiple people tell me that have eventually bought my membership or hired me. I actually downloaded your lead magnet and I used it to create my initial Pinterest strategy, and I started seeing X results. And now I want to take that further.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good.
The
Yeah, so
point.
good. Right. Yeah, exactly. And again, the simplified definition of a lead magnet is something you exchange for someone to get their email address and the permission to stay in touch with them via email.
Mhm.
But, a lead magnet does so many things. And we've already mentioned a bunch of them, and you just mentioned another one. It gives people an initial like result that gets them excited so that they now want to take this to the next step. And guess what? Your offer helps them take it to the next step. So there's so
And
many like little intricacies of finding the right lead magnet. And that's one of them is making sure that it's aligned with that. I think the way you teach it when you talk about lead magnets in your membership is about like making sure that there's a problem, a gap, and a solution, right?
basically, we're
So
just bridging the gap. So yeah, we're
bridging the gap,
bridging the
right?
gap between the problem and solution. So my lead magnet video here on the YouTube channel talks about that. And I think we also talked about it in our live about lead magnets.
Yep.
And um, that is what mine does. And one of the reasons why I think lead magnets, if done really well, can work well for you is it helps you to create a stream of new leads on autopilot without you having to consistently show up and sell yourself.
Mhm.
I am not, someone just posted on Instagram earlier, like 9grid or on Threads. 9grids aren't doing what you want them to do. People are
They're
going to get,
not.
no, they're
Oh,
not
yep.
doing what you want them to do. People are going to get bored and they're not going to come to your profile anymore. So I commented and I was like, I don't need 9grids to convert for me on Instagram, because I use SEO based platforms to consistently bring me um, sales and leads.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
I'm actually about to put a 9grid up on my Instagram profile so people can see what I offer right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
But the benefit of the lead magnet, which is I got a squirrel for a second, I caught a nut,
Mhm.
um, is it's bringing people in and converting them to either email list subscribers and then further down the road customers for you without you having to consistently show up and sell and sell and sell.
Mhm.
So this lead magnet I have connected to all these really valuable YouTube videos is proving to people that I know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
They can watch the video, they can grab the lead magnet, they can go off and never purchase from me for months
Mhm.
and still see results if they put in the effort.
Yeah, it's content that works for you 24/7, even when you're not working. And that's also why I have a blog.
Yeah.
We
We
were
love
talking about,
blogs.
yeah. When you were talking earlier about when we were saying like, you do YouTube, I do emails. One thing I was going to say, and I forgot to say it because I was listening, was like, and we both have blogs. And, the reason why I don't only do email, I know some people who only do email, they don't have any like content that's working for them 24/7. But email, even though it's great, it still is the kind of thing that gets lost in a fast moving feed. It's just somebody's inbox. So you have to create and then create it again and create it again. And even if you're reusing emails, you got to like queue it up and send it again, unless you're using automations, but that's a whole nother thing. Um, Whereas, a blog, a YouTube channel, a podcast is another example, is content that works for you 24/7, even when
Mhm.
you're not working, and it works for months and years after you've created the initial piece of content.
Yeah. So no, lead magnets are not dead. Neither
Everybody
is.
needs to have one of those three. And yeah, oh yeah, by the way, this video is not about that. Sorry.
Jenna says, so I definitely didn't buy the blogging is dead nonsense. I think it's just different now. Things evolve and have different purposes. And I think that same
Yeah,
can be true for lead
well
magnet.
said. Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
We all evolve. Our customer base and our, people in our audiences evolve, their needs evolve.
The landscape evolves.
A lot of people will fall away from interest on the thing that you're talking to them about. Lately I've been more interested in tumbling rocks and figuring out exactly what those rocks are. So you don't see me like
That's so fun.
scrolling social media as much these
I didn't
days.
know you were into that. I was so into rock tumbling when I was a little kid, but
Yeah.
not for like intellectual reasons, just because I thought they were pretty. But I'm sure you guys are all interested in what you got for your rocks and stuff. That's so
I just
cool. I love
love
it.
them. It's like a joy. I
Will you
actually
send
have,
me one? Will you send me one?
I will.
Okay.
I have, so many different interests evolving all the time. So you just have to expect that. Like humans are humans, we all experience growth.
Did you get a rock polisher? Oh, sorry.
That's what the tumbler does
Oh, a tumbler. That's what I meant. You got one? Have you always
for
had one, or is
Christmas.
it new?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
She's so excited about the rock tumbler, guys. I need a lead magnet for rock tumbling, apparently.
She's gonna start a whole rock tumbling blog and monetize it with ads and affiliate links for
Oh,
rock
yeah.
tumblers.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Jana, is there anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I'm going to link the lead magnet video in the description of this video. I'm going to link Heather's Pinterest strategy guide, which is her main lead magnet. I'm going to link my masterclass, which is my main lead magnet. So there'll be some resources to catch by the time you watch this, if you're catching it on the replay. And if you're here with us live, thanks for being here. And those resources should be added to this video description in the next like hour or so.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys. We hope to see you back here next week. What are we talking about next week before we leave them?
I don't
I can't.
remember, but while you're looking, I'm just going to say for the record, no, lead magnets aren't dead. What are we doing next week?
We are talking about how to getting to know your audience to generate ideas that sell, which is
Mm,
really good about
content ideas.
content ideas, connecting
Hmm.
this lead magnet conversation further on down the line. So
Yeah, love it. Cool.
come back same time
That'll be
next
fun.
week, noon Eastern, and you'll catch us here chit-chatting away about something new. Bye for now. And we're out.